And that now brings us to Rashod Bateman's latest, which is a conversation on The Athletic with our guy, Jeff Zrebiec.
Yeah, so you probably heard a while ago that there was some discussions about the Ravens potentially trading Rashod Bateman to the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so when Rashod spoke with Jeff Zrebiec, he confirmed that and gave some details. But Bobby, that news came out that he potentially could have been traded while I was on vacation. And so before I get into him unfolding some of these details and how he stiff-armed or maybe baptized the Dallas Cowboys. First of all, I remember when it was announced that he was getting a new long-term deal, I was surprised. I think a lot of people were surprised because he just got a new contract last offseason. And so now knowing about these details coming up, knowing that Eric Dcasta has so much on his plate, right? Like he's got to get an extension with Lamar Jackson. He's got to worry about Kyle Hamilton. He's got to worry about Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. And at the time, he was probably still worrying about Derrick Henry. He got that extension done. So he's got a lot of guys in Linderbaum. I didn't even mention Linderbaum. So he's got a lot of guys that he has to work on being extended. So when Rashod Bateman kind of comes in, he comes to EDC and he's like, I feel like I need a new contract too. Like, I appreciate that you gave me that new deal last year, but I definitely played better than that. So that's how it kind of all started, based off of this article with Rashod inside The Athletic. And so he said, Bateman acknowledged after the team's final minicamp practice that there was a period this offseason when he wondered if he played his last game as a Raven. Bateman wanted a new contract with the Ravens. General manager Eric Dcasta, meanwhile, was keeping his options open. And those options included trading the 25-year-old receiver who was coming off his best season. The Dallas Cowboys emerged as a very interested suitor. We know that they just traded for Pickens from the Steelers. Bateman would have been way better for them, but we're glad how that turned out. It goes on to say, Bateman was apprised of the trade talks, and he maintains that there was some traction between the two sides. Quote from Bateman, I went through a lot of things with the Cowboys and all of that with my contract. There was a time when I didn't know what was going to happen. The Cowboys talks were a thing for sure. It was a possibility. I don't want to deny that. But Dcasta, he's always making magic work. And he made it work, and I'm thankful for that. Goes on to talk about how Bateman wanted a contract more commensurate with his performance. We know that he caught 45 passes, a career-high 756 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's not even counting what he did in the playoffs where he added 2 more touchdowns. And that's what we need. We need these guys stepping up in the postseason, obviously. Jeff writes, if the Ravens weren't willing to give him a new contract, he was ready to embrace the idea of a trade. But he also wanted to make sure Dcasta knew he wanted to stay. Quote from Bateman again. That's the first thing I told him. I don't want to go anywhere else. I know you've got a lot of stuff to work through, and we'll figure it out when we figure it out. It took time, but it takes time with a lot of people's contracts. He had a lot of contracts to get done, and maybe more to get done in the future. To be a priority for him in that way is important. He shows he values me, close quote. Kind of your thoughts on Bateman opening up there about these trade details.
Yeah, just yet again, checks another box of the Bateman growth trajectory that we've all kind of watched unfold over the last couple years. The first extension that he didn't see coming, the one that was on par within recent weeks of what he's become, which is a bona fide number 2 and a compliment to Zay Flowers here in town. And I expect that to continue. So as far as the Dallas side of things, you could almost feel this energy from Rashod that while he absolutely had to be open to that, meaning if it was out of his control, he would have had to prepare for reality and go into the Cowboys. But you can truly tell that loyalty that the Ravens have shown him, and that is true full-fledged loyalty. They did not need to extend him a year ago. And they didn't need to extend him a couple weeks ago. But they chose to, and they did right by the player twice now.
Yeah.
A homegrown player that Eric Dcasta took a chance on in the late first round in 2021, who's been through thick and thin, both on and off the field, who's made his fair share of mistakes, but has stayed in the fight and is now considered a fan favorite and a winner. And so he continues to be an inspiration because he's now on the other side of that, and he's got a darn good chance to flirt with that first 1,000-yard receiving season. And maybe, just maybe, several months from now, when the calendar flips, you're looking at 2 1,000-yard receivers in Zay and Bateman. And so I appreciate his continued transparency throughout the process.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point. If Eric Dcasta was just a cold-hearted, GM, and we'll see other GMs just, we're watching stuff play out in Cincinnati, maybe even a little bit in Pittsburgh with TJ Watt, although my feeling is that will probably get worked out. I got a quick hit on that. And that's not to say the Ravens always pay everybody. Like you have to prioritize for sure. But the crazy thing is that you're right. They didn't have to do it last year because remember there was like his agent had kind of like screwed him over and he missed a big time couple $1 million bonus by not being on campus by a certain date. And so the Ravens threw him a bone and made sure he got those millions anyway. And then with that extension last year, they had him for another 2 years.
Yep.
So Eric Dcasta, when Rashod comes in there and says, "Hey, I'm underpaid. I know you just gave me a new contract last year, and I know you threw me a bone last year," but he did speak facts. He was underpaid based off of the way he played. Dcasta could have been like, "Babe, love you. Can you give me one more year?" You know what I mean? I can't do this for another year because I got Lamar. I have Derek I have to do. I've got Kyle Hamilton. I've got Linderbaum, all the guys I named before. And I just gave you one last year. But I'll get you next year. And there's really nothing that Bateman could have done. Right? Even with the Cowboys as being a very interested suitor. If Eric Dcasta wanted to, he had control over the situation for the next 2 years. But he didn't. Now, that doesn't mean that he did it purely altruistically, because this new deal is still very good for the Ravens. Bateman is now locked up through 2029, and his average salary is $12.5 million.
Compare that to a T. Higgins wide receiver 2 at Cincy.
That's exactly what I was going to get to.
He might be a more productive player.
Deal.
Yeah, he might be more of a productive player. But come on, it's a night and day deal. It's a bargain.
It's a bargain, and the Ravens are better with Rashod Bateman on this team. The Ravens are better with Rashod and Zay being a duo, and Hopkins being that third man, veteran receiver, chain mover, and depth. Like the Ravens are better in the Super Bowl run to keep him, and they got a good deal. And they make him happy, although it wouldn't surprise me if he came back again if he continues to take off. So we'll see what happens. But to your point, I think Eric Dcasta did right by Rashod Bateman. And at the same time, you have to feel inspired by Rashod and what he's been through the beginning of his career and where he's at. And the way he talks about Zay, the way he talks about all of his teammates, he's a great teammate. I think that if Eric Dcasta said, "No, I'm not doing this," Bateman would have been out there anyway because he wants to be a part of a championship run, and he wouldn't have made a huge stink. But I just think that this situation couldn't have played out any more positively for both sides.
Tell you what, too, just having watched and we shared this prior to our vacation, but having watched that YouTube video that he put out down in Miami with Zay, where they were working one-on-one with Rashod's training staff, he's looking fluid, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that long ago that this time of year, what's the big caveat when it comes to Rashod? Will he be healthy? Because if he is healthy, he's going to be a dynamic, elite route running, winning guy for you that can beat you outside, that can beat you with the deep ball, that can beat you inside. You name it. And so the fact that that's no longer a caveat, that's no longer this cloud that's hanging over him, man, What a luxury for him. He's paid now. Like you said, he's going to be in Baltimore for the foreseeable future. The sky's the limit for him. You got talent littered all throughout this offense. You've got an MVP quarterback, but you got a player in 7 who's playing with house money at this point, and that's why I think we're going to see the best version of him yet coming up in 25.
One other quote from this article. Let me see if I got it nearby here. Is it right here? I didn't put it in the slides. But at the end of the article, Jeff asks Rashod, is this the most talented team that the Ravens have had in your time here? And by the way, they've had a lot of talent. They've had a lot of talent. Rashod responds, this is the best team that I've ever been on in the NFL, all around, and especially now with Jair Alexander. We always have the pieces. It's on us now to go out, compete, and just do it. So in his view, and it's crazy to say because I do feel like the Ravens had a Super Bowl team in 2019. I do feel like they had a Super Bowl team in 2023. I do feel like they had one in 2024. And I think they have another one in 2025. When your players are forced to say, we have all the pieces, you know Eric Dcasta has done his job. You know he's done his job. And he's absolutely right. It's on us now to go out, compete, and just do it. Yes, we're gonna be nervous about the kicking position. Yes, we're gonna be excited to see how Malachi Starks and Mike Green fit in and left guard and all that kind of stuff. But every team has those little things. It's more often that more teams have more and bigger glaring holes. That's not the Ravens. And so Eric's done his job, and I don't think he's finished. I think he's always busy this time of the year heading into training camp. This is where you can get bargain pieces and where people just veterans want to jump on and try to, go for a championship run. And so, despite having Super Bowl teams in the past, this one still might be the best.
Jadeveon's still waiting in the wings. Who's going to sign him?
He sure
Jadeveon
is.
Clowney. Which veteran safety is still out there that the Ravens could be looking at? Yeah, I mean, it's the 22nd is when the full team reports for the start of camp. So what are we, 2 weeks out from that? 2 weeks today, matter of fact. 2 weeks today.
When the rookies report?
When the full team.
The full team. So we'll get rookies even before that. Yep.
Rookies are on the 15th.
Got it.
So we are literally a week out from camp beginning and then 2 weeks out from full-fledged camp. So it's right around the corner.